Good afternoon, one and all. I hope you are good. I seem to be having internet issues. Wonderful stuff. Jack, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Brian.
Dear. Okay, right, guys. It looks like I'm having major internet problems. We're going to keep going until Ben gets here, and then I'll quickly restart everything. But I'm joined today as we go through the transfer window and everything that we have done, incomings and outgoings. And by the sounds of it, there are two big outgoings coming right now. But first of all, Jack, how are you, my buddy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Brian?
Oh, my bloody internet. 1 second. Let me get Ben in here quickly. Guys, I do apologise. Ben will be joining in a second. Why now? Why now? Please
Can you hear me,
hurry
Brian?
in. I can hear you, mate. I don't listen, guys. Can you hear me? Can people let me know in the chat how bad my sound is? Because don't worry, we will get this fixed. But for some reason, my internet is playing up big time, and I might need to refresh this very, very quickly.
They can hear you. They could say they all hear us.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Good. Right, let's try. They can hear us, but my internet is. It's very, very scratchy for me. But Jack, whilst I'm trying to sort this, what have you made of the window so far? Or now the window's shut, what is your overall impressions of the window? We're going to break it down later.
I mean, I weren't impressed. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't really impressed. I don't think anyone was. But it seems to be working because we're beating Burnley. So I guess you can't complain because we haven't had a test yet. I can't remember who said it the other day, but we haven't actually had a test yet. We've played a very poor United team at home. We've played a very poor Burnley team away. So I guess when we play, and I guess the first real test is Arsenal and Liverpool. So I guess we will see then. But I think if you look at it on paper, we've lost our best player. We haven't really got rid of any deadwood except for now. Two of them have left or about to leave. So for me, we're one or two players short, but then at the end of the day, we're not really competing for anything. We're not in any Europa League or anything. So I guess it's just the start of the project or the process, as people will say. But for me, it's a bit disappointing seeing we sold Harry Kane for 100 million.
It is right. Let me bring. There comes Ben, and here comes the other guest, Kuva. So we're complete. Ben, do me a favour. Just ask Jack how the window has been. Same goes to you two. I'm going to quickly leave and restart my tablet and be back in. If you need to start going through things, there's a list in the folders that I've created for it. I will be back very, very shortly sorting this out and say hello to everyone in the chat. I'll leave it with you for a couple of secs.
No problem. So, Jack, how are you doing today, sir? How are you
doing? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. So, just
big up, Jack. Not been on stream with you before, have I?
Yeah. Probably not. I've only been on 2.
Yeah. Fair enough. Definitely not. All right. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate.
And to you, Mr. Kuva, how are you doing today, sunshine?
Bright and breezy. I didn't fall asleep, honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just struggling with the heat again. I didn't think I was going to be saying that in September, but
yeah, it's definitely a late summer, which is nice to see because we haven't had good weather at all this year. But before we go into the conversation about the transfer window, let's see who is in chat. We have Jamie Pretty. Hello, buddy. Hello. Hopefully you're doing well all the way from Manila. We've got Adrian Schroker, Theodora, the warrior without a master. We've got a Diz. We're gonna star that just because we're gonna be talking about that. We have Lynch. We have Zach Robinson, Mitch Day, NVR. We have James Flower, big up. Just a harmless potato. Benjamin Foster. Martin Knightsbridge. We got Eugene, Tony Rodriguez, the #1 Agambar in the world, Mark Cousins, the Sheriff, Ryan McFarlane, LLB. We got Mass Ford. We got Jim, who's just a guy who loves the Spurs. There we got Jeep, Adrian Schroker. I think I already said his name. Kev Williams, Chris Horry, Mr. Graham himself. Mr. Graham, hopefully you're doing well. We have Drew Lala. Big up, Drew La. We got Rob Belcher, and we've got Zen Fonte. Right. We're going to start talking about this transfer window. What's your overall thoughts about the transfer window, Jack? Overall thoughts?
As I said to Brian before, I think, you look on paper, it's been a bit mediocre. We haven't got rid of the deadwood that, we've had to. I do think we're 1 or 2 players short, but like I said to Brian, we're not really, we haven't got any, Europa League or Conference League where we actually need depth. So I think where we are right now, we haven't had a test, like I said to Brian, we haven't played a good team yet. We played a poor United team at home. And I think, I do think we're 1 or 2 players short, but, it's the start of Andrew's project, the process or whatever. I think for me, we didn't get rid of enough deadwood. I think that's what the problem was. And we left it too late as per usual. Why were we trying to sell all these players at deadline day? Regulon, who was the other player that went out? Sanchez, Tanguy, obviously today. But why was this not done at the beginning? Normally it's the other way around. We get rid of all the players and we leave all the buying to the last day.
Yeah.
But why is it taking this long to get rid of all these players? And the fact we're letting people like Dyer, Ndombele, who's now leaving, but just sit on the bench with the reserves, collecting money. If you're going to do that, just rip them up.
Yeah.
Rip up their contract. What is the point of having him there if he's not going to play? But that's what I think.
I totally agree with you. Cooves, what's your same thoughts on the transfer window? What do you reckon?
As usual, incomplete. We made some fantastic signings. Van der Ven looking brilliant.
Yeah.
Vicario, I'm getting to really have to eat my words about him week by week. He's looking the full part already, transforming the defence, those two alone.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Maddison has been absolutely brilliant. He's
a good player.
If there's a better signing this window, I can't really see who it is. But
I'll go one further, Coover. I think he might be the best signing in 10 years.
Who, Maddison?
Yeah, I think he might be.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Could be. It's right up there, isn't he? So in that respect, brilliant. It's all that, as Jack said as well. It's the fact we can't get rid of so many yet again. That's really slowed up everything else. We might have been able to get 2 or 3 more players in if we could have got rid of the 7 or 8 players that are absolutely desperately want to get rid of, but it never happens. So to answer Jack's question as well, why can't we get rid of them? Why does it always take so long? You just have to look at who are they. Eric Dyer, who's going to buy him? No top 6 club's going to want him. He's not good enough, and everybody else can't afford his wages. So, they could, but it's a big outlay. So he's going to sit on his arse picking up his paycheck.
The problem is, Curver, as well, is all these players have 1 year left. So, at the end of the year, all these players are going to have so many options. Why would the teams, when they can get one of free in January, and you can have the pick of the bunch, you'll have about 10 teams, a few Portuguese teams probably.
Yeah, so, quite possibly. I mean, and even if we do rip up the contracts, which I agree with, I'd rather see that than them hanging around the club when they're not wanted. It's still going to eat into our transfer budget because whether we like it or not, we do have financial constraints put on us by our certain chairmen and certain owners. So that's the reality we're facing.
Mention the word chairman and look who appears.
It was destiny, and it looks that who would have thought switching it off and switching it on again would solve it, because it looks crystal. So where were we, people?
Oops, sorry, back in a sec.
You do that. Where were we, Ben?
We were just talking about the transfer window as a whole. What does everyone think of it? Thoughts? Who knows? But that's it. Just thoughts as a whole of the transfer window. Why are we not ripping up players' contracts? Why are we taking so long to get these players out? And we'll have to get on to the question now that Sanchez has been given it. Here we go.
Has he been given it as well? I thought it was Ndombele.
That's what I've heard. I think he's been given the here we go as well.
Let's have a look. I know Ndombele has.
Sanchez on a permanent and then Tanguy with a loan.
Okay, so we may as well start with the outgoings. But Ben, before we do that, have you said hello to everyone in the chat?
Yes, I've already done it.
Okay, so let me just say before we do this, everyone, I want to say over this month we are just under 1,000 views off 100,000 views for the last 3 weeks, which is massive.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Yes, so yes, thank you so much to everyone for 100,000 views over the last 2 weeks. We've been working really hard on Tottenham On Tour to get you all the content that we think you can get. But yeah, it's onwards and upwards. It's onwards and upwards. Let's read a couple of comments. So Adrian's saying Dyer will probably go in January as teams at home and abroad will have injury problems by then. We have to understand we cannot pay wages to Deadwood. They are not going to play and new players. That's just the way it is. Marcus saying Archie is back and he's gone again. The club should have pissed the Deadwood off a long time ago, but didn't. That's on them. Poor business. How and why is Dyer still at the club is beyond me. Oh, I haven't smashed the light. Better do, guys, do the same. Absolutely. Archie is not back. One of the best frozen pictures you will ever see. But yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you can't always have a perfect transfer window. But what you can do is you can prepare for the next one, and we've not done. We've done no such thing.
Well, when you say next one, do you mean next summer?
Yeah, next summer or even January, just to improve a tiny bit more. You improve a tiny bit at a time. And
who would you say we need then in January or next summer?
We need 2 centre backs. We need 2 centre backs now. Because now we've now got 3 recognised centre backs at the club. We've got Van der Ven, Romero, and now Phillips. That's our 3 centre backs.
But what happens if Dorrington, who apparently everyone raves about or whatever? I don't know anything about him. What happens if he performs and Phillips performs? Then we actually have 4. Then what? Yeah, because then we're not promoting youth. And the whole point of the project and the process, if you look at Arsenal, they promote their youth. They promote, I know Saka's, he's a generational talent, but they try and promote their youth. And I think that's what we're missing as well. We need a bit of heart and a bit of determination, a bit of someone who understands the club, someone who can just run their socks off and something to prove. So I don't know if we need another. I could see maybe 1 centre back coming in, but I don't know about 2 because then I would like to see some youth come through. I think we're missing that.
Youth is always a great thing to get those into the club, but we cannot. Let's say Romero.
Gets injured.
Worst comes. We have Alfie Dorrington and Ashley Phillips as our 2 centre backs, and we're playing against Manchester United away from home.
Yeah,
that's
we're screwed. But if only one of them is injured. If one of them is injured, then I think we're fine. You can pair Phillips with either or.
With either one of them, but if both of them get injured and we have a track
agreed.
With loads of players, that is a disaster. We shouldn't have to have had that. But
agreed.
We don't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. We've got some comments. We needed minimum 2 centre backs, more, hoping that youngsters have shown nothing will be able to step up. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if they're going to come into the team and do a job. Benjamin Foster is saying I would have given a window a 10 out of 10, but just getting rid of Dyer alone. Maybe Sanchez and Belly go in this window much better. No, it hasn't, because we haven't replaced them. We need to be replacing them.
Ben, right. I don't think Tanguy and Ndombele makes a difference here nor there. That's fantastic. Sanchez is we'll have to wait and see. I'm a big fan of Ashley Phillips. I've said I think he's a future captain, but Tanguy and Ndombele makes us stronger because we haven't got his toxicity around the place. Why do these teams want him is more to the point. Yeah. Thank you for doing it, but why do you want him?
It's absolute madness. Cooves, What's your opinion on the centre-back situation? Oh, he's the worst time as he's coughing.
Sneezing, but close enough. Yeah. Centre-backs, I'm not fussed on the Sanchez going now. I don't care if Dyer went with him. As far as I'm concerned, look to the future right now, because this is a club with a great new manager just come in, taking us in a positive direction again. I think it's a great time to have a look at some of these young players. And if we do have both first choice centre backs out, that's called an injury crisis. Most clubs struggle with that. I'm not fussed about the youngsters coming in. I would prefer, if we had to only get rid of one, that it would have been Dyer rather than Sanchez, because Dyer cannot play in any way whatsoever. At least Sanchez is quick. That's it. That's the only real reason. But they're both dreadful. So any offer comes in for either, just take it, snap the hand off, whoever it is. All of these so-called fringe players that have let us down over and over again, if anybody bids for them and it leaves us short of if we can't even put out a 25-man squad, I'm okay with that. Let's just use the youngsters. I'll prefer to go into the unknown and use the valuable time that's available for young players to come in, get a bit of experience, no pressure on them. We'll just see what we got out of them, rather than paying big wages for established players that we already know are useless. Get rid of all that. We're calling them deadwood for a reason. And yet now we're looking for excuses to hang on to them yet again. Why? Just bite the bullet, clear it all out, cut the cancerous players away from the club. Well, cancerous is a bit harsh for some of them, but not needed, I'll say. But especially when it comes to things like midfield, we've got so many players in that.
How have they not sold Højbjerg? I don't get it.
Yeah, just if there's a bid comes along, just get them out. Get them out. It's the future is the manager. The future is those young players you see in our starting 11. These players, the Dyers, the Sanchez, who gives them monkeys? Just get them out. As already said, I'd prefer to go with Ashley Phillips. I'd prefer to go. Dorrington's getting rave reviews. I haven't seen him play myself, but I'll go with what people are saying that have. And talking to Johnny H3232 this morning, convinced me even more that we've got a bright future coming up with the academy players coming in.
Why are they not playing these players well against Fulham and letting these play? This is what I don't get. I think Brian said it. I would rather lose to Fulham playing the youngsters than playing the Deadwood. And why are we giving the Deadwood more time? Why are we letting? I don't get it. Why is Højbjerg playing against Fulham if we don't want him? Give it to. I know Divine wasn't there. Was it Divine there at the time, or was he?
No, he's already gone.
Start him against Fulham, or start Phillips, or start Micky. I don't know how good they are, but Johnny, as Curver said, is always banging on about these players. Start them against Fulham. If we lose, we lose. It's not. No one would care if we lost whilst playing the youngsters. It's the fact that we still play. Højbjerg, Sanchez. I can't remember who. Davis. Give it to the youngsters. See what they can do. And if it's a positive.
Yeah, what? Go on, Curver. You go. You finish, brother. You finish.
Just to finish off, there's a little bit. I was earlier in the season before we started signing anybody. I said, as far as I'm concerned, there's 8 or 9 players I think are worth keeping. I was prepared to get rid of 20 of this squad. 20. Yeah. So I'm not scared of anybody going at all out of that lot. Let's just go for it. If it means we're going to lose a few games due to inexperience of the young players, so be it. This is the time to do it. You don't want to do it 2 or 3 years down the road when you've got some, you've filled out with really good players again. How the youngsters going to get anywhere there? These young players coming through could well be our future stars. Let's not forget Harry Kane was one of those young players given a chance.
Yeah.
There are gems out there. You just got to have a bit of faith in it. Other teams managed to do this. We are really bad for it.
Are you almost saying like this season it's like a free hit?
Yeah, I think it is a free hit. I think that's part of the reason why I agree with getting rid of Sanchez and only having 3 centre backs. This is a year when we've just got to rebuild the philosophy of the football team. We're not going to be finishing in the top 4. I don't even think we're going to finish in the top 7. So we might as well cut the the bad tissue out and start again. Use this year to reheal and just build a philosophy, build a new chemistry amongst those players, which is already starting to be. We're not going to be going for the league title as much as my good friend Kuva says we're winning the league, as he always does. But this is a year to calm everything. It's a year of tranquility, 1 game a week. Let's see what we can do if we build a new philosophy. Let's see.
Well, that's it. And Ben, what we'll do now, we're going to break into these players individually and just have a quick chat about them, both in and out. Should we go out first or should we go in first?
Well, we might as well go in first because there's much more of those, I think.
You'd be surprised. So the way I've done this, first of all, I haven't included Porro and I haven't included Kulu because they count. But the one person I have included like that is I have included Destiny because he only came this season. So we're doing it positional wise, not the order that they were signed in. So we'll go around the table and Jack, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on the signing of Vicario when we first were rumoured and your impressions of him now?
When we were first rumoured, I can't lie, like everyone, I don't think anyone had a Scooby who he was. Except for what you read on Twitter and those clips. I was a bit underwhelmed. I did want Raya. I think everyone did because we've all watched him. He's Premier League proven. I think at the start, I think you also thought the same, Brian. He looked a bit shaky. He still does sometimes. He does remind me of Lloris actually on the ball. You give him the ball, he does look a bit scary. But he's made some good saves, and he hasn't fumbled anything yet, has he? So I think it's a solid signing. I think it was always going to be hard to replace, especially in my lifetime, a keeper I've only ever known in Lloris. The geezer's been there for so many years and has been with the club for so long. So I think it was a very hard position to replace. I think a goalkeeper in itself is very hard to replace because in that position, if you make a mistake, whereas if you make a mistake in midfield or at striker, you've got people who can support you. But if you make a mistake in goal, it's the back of the net. So I think he's done well, but he does scare me a bit. But I guess, I look at Onana and I look at Ramsdale, especially Onana. He looks better than Onana so far. And I think Onana was the main keeper this season who got signed.
Kuva, your thoughts?
Yeah, but very, very similar. When we first linked with him, I thought we were missing out big time by not going for Raya because he ticked all the boxes. Spectacular distribution from him. I thought that's finally we've got what we need. Goalkeeper can build from the back. Vicario came in, didn't look the part. He said he's not a sweeper keeper. It's a new role for him. But he's been verbal. He does tend to bark orders at the defence. I like that. He does seem to be a reasonable shot stopper. And he's growing with every game. I think Scott M was saying his distribution has been a disaster, but I think that's a bit harsh. I think he goes a little bit shaky at times, but compared to Hugo, we've seen Hugo getting turned inside out in his own penalty area. Yeah, time and time again. I think he's a step up on that. I think he's improving steadily. I like him. There's just something about him. There's just that air you get about some players that you can see the confidence is going to build in them. He's young. He's learning. He's doing pretty well for himself.
I think he's got leadership capabilities. How he screams at his defenders. He hates when a ball goes back in the net. He absolutely hates it. He's got that mentality. If he hates, even if we're winning 7-0, if we concede 1, he goes mental. And that's the mentality. He's got real pride in his goalkeeping. He's got real pride in keeping that clean sheet. And that can only get better.
Yeah, you're right. I think in goalkeeper terms, he's 25, 26, something like that. That's still pretty young terms for a goalkeeper. Outfield player, you'd expect them to be coming into their peak anytime. But for a goalkeeper, still learning, I don't think they really peaked till they're about 30 anyway.
Exactly. I was the same as Jack. He's 26, Kuva. He's 26 years old as we speak. I had one of my many meltdowns on We Are Tottenham TV when the Raya deal got plugged. or got shelved, I went absolutely, you wouldn't believe it, but I went absolutely nuts and blamed it all on a certain person. And then obviously within 24 hours, Big Vic's name came up. I'd never heard of him. All that was shown on him. Kuva is a very busy man today. I hear that phone ringing.
That's my phone this time.
Oh, okay. You got very similar ringing. My bad, Kuva. My bad. But yeah, when Vicario's name got mentioned and just those 3 saves, that one triple save, which was incredible, I did jump on the bandwagon immediately and went nuts. And James Flower put me right with a comment he made that I speak about all the time on Twitter. And you know what? I've been very impressed with him. Don't get me wrong. During pre-season, he played with a different defence every single time. And we knew the defence was crap already. But that guy at Brentford, he looked a bit shaky with his rash running out and whatever. But the Manchester United game and a couple of saves he made against Burnley, that's what he's there to do. Yes, we conceded 2. Could he have done better with either of them? Questionable. But I've got great faith in Vicario. I think he is going to work out to be and as James said, James I think still in the chat when he saw him I didn't realise his English is pretty much fluent.
Yeah,
apparently
amazing.
His communication and shouting and screaming and organisation. And you mentioned something, Ben, about if he concedes a goal. If anyone has watched the Sonny documentary and Thierry Henry speaks to Son, and he says how badly Jens Lehmann used to kick off if we won 4-5-6-1. And they say, why the hell are you complaining? He was like, well, you get the plaudits for scoring 6. How do you think I feel letting in the 1? And to hear a goalkeeper talking like that has got to be refreshing. And like Jack said, at 26 years old, he can only get better, can't he, Jack?
Agreed. 100%. 100%.
So let's have a look. We're all agreed that Vicario is a very, very good signing, yes, or will turn out to be. And I think, go on, Jack. You agree?
Yeah, I think it's early days still. I think that he looks good so far, but football, anything can change, is what I would say. So I still hold my opinion for him for now, but he does look good so far.
There we go. Before we move on to the next player, I've got a super chat, and I will stop for super chats if they come in and if you can before each player. Ben, we've got a question for you.
Yeah.
From Howie saying, Ben, there's no tranquility at Spurs. Come on.
Well, maybe, hopefully, this is the first of many things, but it's a year with no European football. We're out of the Carabao Cup. We're in 2 competitions, so we've got plenty of time to build a new philosophy.
There you go. Right, we'll move on to the next one. Ben, keep an eye on the comments whilst I'm just doing this. So the next one, like I said, he was bought last year. And this time we'll go Ben, Kuva, Jack, me. And let's see what everyone else in the comments has to say about Mr. Destiny, Udogie, whatever you want to call him. He's absolutely goddamn awesome. Take it away, Ben.
I think this kid is sublime. He is absolutely sublime. We are talking about, in what I've seen, the future one of the best left backs in the world. And I'm talking not like top 10, I'm talking top 3. He's got absolutely everything a fullback needs. Pace, power, positioning, strength, and amazing going forward. Tenacity. That that goal that he harried, I don't know who it was, Burnley player. He's got absolutely everything. And you know what? We're going to have to start eating our words about Mr. Fabio Paratici, because he has found an absolute gem. That is an absolutely fantastic footballer. Like, absolutely brilliant. And it's amazing. Hopefully we can keep hold of him for many, many years.
That's got to be the must. Kuva, your thoughts on Mr. Destiny?
Yeah, Destiny Udogie, he's destined for stardom, isn't he? Destined for stardom.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can see him playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Let's hope at that point we're one of them, But yeah, I think he's got everything. He's got pace, power, aggression.
Love that.
Loves going forward. His link-up play when he gets in around the box is great.
Yeah.
I think we're not going to see the best of him for quite a while, but when we do, he's the kind of player that's going to net you 15 to 20 goal of involvements a season. Fantastic player. I love fullbacks that know how to attack. I think most people that have seen me over the last year and a half or something will appreciate that. Not worried about the defensive side. Other players can cover that if they got lesser ability or less attack minded. Let's bomb forward with style. He does that. What I also like about him is yet another one of these ones that fits Ange's mould of what he wants from footballers. If we're not able to pass it through teams, you need these players that can run with the ball at their feet aggressively and drive the ball forward. We've seen Basuma doing it. We see Sarr doing it to a lesser degree, but still a little bit. You see Maddison's been doing it. Udogie can do it. We've now got Brennan Johnson coming in who can do the same thing as well. We've got players who can travel with the ball rapidly at their feet while in control of it. Udogie is one of them. He's absolute talent. Love him to bits already. Really.
There we go. And Jack,
I was talking with Graham. And he like one of the things he said. We were talking about Postecoglou and how loud you can hear him when he's dictating to people. He's just like, Destiny, go up that pitch and take the effing ball with you. Like, get the ball and get up that pitch. And that's what we've got now. We've got people that runners that can get up that pitch with power. And that's terrifying. People with speed and power and tenacity with the ball are terrifying for teams. So if we can if we can use that pace and that power, we will be dangerous.
Right, before we go to you, Jack, I just have to say, Tony Rodriguez with Udogie. I'm sorry, but I am stealing that. I will give you the credit.
That's a Jacob thing, isn't it?
I am using it. That is genius. That is genius. Jack, your thoughts on Mr. Destiny?
Well, we've been crying out for a player like this for years, haven't we? Is what I would say. For years. What a player. My only worry is that he's performing too well, that we won't have him for long. I think he's got Real Madrid written all over him, if you ask me. But, he's performing too well too quickly that, we might only have him for 2 years. He's really good. He's a really good player. He's fast. He can actually cross a ball. I like Sessegnon, and I hated Sessegnon with passion. What I would say is, if we had him under Conte, who knows what would have happened? Because I do feel like that was a Conte type of player. But yeah, what a player.
Top players can play for any manager, though.
Yeah, but he's such a Conte player, though. If you think about it, he is such a. So yeah. Why did we let him go last season? I know it's probably something to do with the deal to make it cheaper or whatever. But if only we had him last season, Brian.
Well, you look at it now. One of the things I loved about him, I've seen, obviously, I only got to see him at Burnley live. I've watched him on TV the other games, but he's done this in a few games. When we were under the cosh against Burnley, the thing that changed everything was at one point there was an attack on the left side, or a start of an attack, and Destiny got the ball and just ran through the middle and got it up to the opposite end of the half single-handedly. And he's done this time after time, Jack. He is everywhere. The power, the pace, the determination to get forward, everything about him is just, when you see him live, it's incredible. It was literally, there were some points like Sky Sports used to do with player cam. I just kept an eye on him. For about 10 minutes, I just didn't even watch the game, watched him. His movement and his determination to get forward is just like no other. And do you know what? Like you said about how good he'll be, and how, thankfully, in some ways, we have it. All right, Harry Kane, last year of his contract, we'll get to him much later. This player, he is fast becoming, with Van der Ven, who we're speaking about as well, my favourite player. I absolutely love this kid. Someone said he reminds him of Danny Rose in getting forward, but do you know what? I haven't seen a left back or someone down the left side run with so much power, pace, and directness since Gareth Bale. And I'm not comparing him to Bale, but he has.
Would you try and further forward that?
Say again, Jack?
Would you try and further forward if need to be? as a left winger?
No, personally, no. I think he's
He
more
could do.
dangerous. He's got space to run into.
He could do. You don't think so, Ben?
He could probably do it, but I like him better when he's doing those runs from deep and allowing that winger to. I think he's more dangerous as a fullback. But you never know. Maybe he could.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, there is a lot of love for him in here.
Yeah, I could see him playing further forward if he needs to. He really comes alive when he is in the opponent's half. So it's I'd see what Ben's getting at though. When he's got that kind of pace, him galloping into a bit of space is ideal. We've got some options now. He gives us attacking options from fullback, so it's great.
Indeed. So, like I said, we seem to have a lot of love in for Destiny. Let's just bring up the next one. And before I bring up the next one that we'll do, just going to have a quick likey count to see where we are, because there's 179 of you in the show right now. And what it's telling me, guys, let's have a look if we're on a good conversion rate. Let's have a look. So out of 177 of you watching, we have 75 likes. Let's get that soaring, people. But thank you for your support. The next one, I love my nickname for him. Micky Van Defending, or VDV as he's going to be called. Van Defending. I can't even spell that right. I put Ven Defending. Very good, Brian. We'll go Kuva first. We'll go Kuva, Jack, Ben, me. Kuva, what's your thoughts on Micky?
I think he's great as well. He's the sort of defender.
Kuva first, Ben.
Ha. No, God. It's fine. It's fine. People have made the comparison already. I will too. Thinking of a young Jan Vertonghen with pace. What is not to like about that combination? I think he's great on the ball. He's got a way of getting himself out of trouble when he gets into it. Defenders in the past, I've mentioned this one before, they always have like a little trick to get himself out of a tight spot. He has got that turn and the strength to get away from it. Pace to keep up with just about anybody. Got to be one of the quickest centre-backs in the league, but by a fair distance compared to the average anyway. Great on the ball, composed, little bit out of position at times. I think that's natural for a young defender, especially when you come into a new league. He's forming a good partnership with Romero and the players ahead of him. And he seems to be getting an understanding with Vicario at the back that's improving all the time, even though it's not perfect yet. I think the future's bright, but he's looking good already. So fantastic signing. And look at what difference it makes to have Romero with a few players around him that he's got some trust in their ability. He doesn't have to make the rash challenges and take everything on board to be Superman and do everything. He can relax a bit and time when he does things. And it's just lifted the whole team. He's going to be the unsung one of all the signings when it comes to goals, because we've got Maddison on fire, but every bit as good as Van der Ven at the back. He's been doing everything you'd want from him. Even when there is a slight mistake he makes or gets us a little bit out of position, he recovers. The pace is there to get back, and he makes the challenge. Saw that against United in particular, where players had got away from him, and he was just suddenly there. It was love seeing it. And he's just a good footballer, really good footballer. And God, I love that in the team. I don't like this athleticism above all else. Give me somebody that can get the ball on the deck and play.
Yeah.
I have to say, Kuva, when you said unsung hero, I was about to say, then you said goals, you saved yourself, because I was about to say this guy's got about 6 songs already, and he's only played 4 games for us. It's absolutely mental how players have taken to him. But go on, Ben, your thoughts on Mr. Micky Van Defending?
I can only echo the words of Mr. Kuva. It's brilliant to have a footballer that can make Romero look good. When he's playing next to idiots, he looks like an idiot because he's having to overcompensate for everyone not being able to defend properly. But now that he's got Van der Ven, he's got his little brother, he's got someone to look after, but he's got someone that can really make Romero shine of being able to push up that pitch, because he knows if the ball goes over the back, he's got a mate that's going to be able to compensate for him. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he's going to be a terrific footballer for Tottenham. He just looks good. He looks duck to water coming into Tottenham. Duck to water, and I just think he's great.
There you go, Jack. Your thoughts on Mr. Van Defending?
I'm going to take it one step further from Hoover and say he reminds me of Van Dijk, actually, before the knee injury. I actually think he's that good. My only worry is if he gets injured, there is such a massive gap because he's that good. And why is it taking this long to get a good player for Romero to play with? Because it just shows when we have two competent centre backs, what a team we can actually be. But yeah, he's unreal. I think his tackling's unreal. I think his one-on-one defending when he's standing up to attackers. He does seem also a bit rash at sometimes. I think he can dive in, but I think he's unreal, and I do think over time he's still, how old is he? 23 or something? 24?
22.
22. There you go. I do think over time, with we're settling into the club and new league, a new country, and just with age, I do think the rashness, because I do think he has a bit of rashness. I do think he can dive in a bit. I do think that will come over time with a good partnership with Romero, hopefully for time to come.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to say the one thing I've loved about this guy, and I was lucky to see him at Fulham in that poor result where he stood out like a sore thumb. And I think he had a brilliant game at Brentford. You just can't get past him.
You can't.
If you're standing up against him, his power when he's defending with it, when you've got his back to, when you've got their back to goal, you can't compete with him for power or height. He's quick on the ball. He is just outstanding, and we haven't even really seen him stretch his legs yet and use that blistering pace that he's got. And like you said, Jack, it's amazing what he'll do when you put him next to Romero and what Romero will do next to him.
Yeah.
This guy is 22 years old, the under-21 Dutch captain. And like I said, we talk about Postecoglou and we talk about other people being taken to their hearts very, very quickly. Well, this guy has done it. And do you know what? I'm with Kuva with Vertonghen. And for me to say that is very, very hard because of my love for Vertonghen. But I can see your point as well with Van Dijk, with the height and everything. It's not a bad hybrid, is it? A Vertonghen and Van Dijk hybrid. That's not a bad combination.
No.
I only said Van Dijk as well because he's Dutch.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I didn't even think of that little kid.
He's got a great name as well. Like he's got a Van der Ven. That's a defender. That's a defender. It. Names mean something. It's class. It's absolutely class.
It is, and I can see again there is a lot of love for him as well. And I see Scott M once again being his usual self. And listen, Scott has very, very different opinions to a lot of people and a lot of things. Some of them I think are wildly inaccurate. I can't say inaccurate. There we go. I got there fourth time lucky. But some I totally agree with. But I've got to say, Scott, on these, we are judging the players on them coming in and what they have done so far. And 10 points out of 12, the way they've slotted into a team that has gone 180, you can't help but be positive about what is going on. Yes, there could be better in the window. We're going to discuss that later. But we shall see. But Van der Ven has gone down like an overwhelming success. We'll go Jack first. No, we'll go Ben, you first this time. Then Jack, Hoover, me. Everyone get your comments in as well about Ashley Phillips. And I will have a lot to say about this one. A lot.
Well, I don't have much about Ashley Phillips, but luckily we've got a wonderful channel in the Spurs community at the name of A View from the South Stand with Ashmatic, Marlon and Haz. So big up those three boys. They did an extensive breakdown of Ashley Phillips. And by the clips and what I've seen of him, he looks like a footballer. And that's exactly what this Ange Postecoglou team wants. Footballers, people that play with their head up. He's good in the air. He's tall. And I think he's going to be a good player for us in the future. People are saying captain. I don't think so. I don't think so currently. But he just looks like a talented young footballer. And that's what we need in this team. Footballers. Not players like Højbjerg who can't pass a ball 3 yards, or Ollie Skip that can barely pass a ball to. People that are going to get their foot on the ball and make something happen. And that's exactly what we've needed for a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play. And anyone that gets Eric Dyer out the team I'm a big fan of.
There you go. There you go. I have to say, the reason I've kept that up is you say that, Ryan. That's the exact phrase Ilana uses with me when I try and say something and I go, blah, 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 I muck up. Whenever I see that, use your words. Yes, I've been told that on a few occasions. Jack, your thoughts on Mr. Phillips?
I think like everyone, I don't know a lot about him or seen a lot about him, but from what people like Johnny say and other people say, apparently he's going to be the next big England centre back. So I guess you can't complain. I like Ben said, if he's keeping Dyer at the team, or if he replaces Dyer eventually, then you can't complain. But my only worry is he actually going to play? And is he just going to be another youngster that doesn't get a look in? That's the only thing I would say is I would like to see him because I think a lot of people don't know a lot about him or ever seen him. But my only issue is he actually going to play? Because there's a lot of youngsters that don't get a look in at Tottenham, like Divine, as we all know, and Dorrington as well. So as long as he can play and as long as he gets game time and he is actually good, then the time will come, I guess. The time will come.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your thoughts, Kuva.
Ashley Phillips, like a lot of people, I haven't seen a lot of him. I've seen a few sort of extended highlights and things like that from when he was playing in lower divisions, but he did stand out from the crowd, and that's what you really want to have when you're talking about a player coming up from lower divisions. He's got all the physicalities: big, tall, strong, quick. It's all there. Plays like he's got a maturity well beyond his years, and ticks all the boxes. If I went specifically trying to think of things that I could see that I didn't like the look of, or thought he's really lacking from his game. I literally just didn't see anything. So that's got to be a good thing. Otherwise, got to rely on the reports from people he's been playing with, or coaching staff, or people that have seen him playing in the reserve games and at the club, and obviously not in the first team yet. And it's all good. People are really rating him. The fact he's already on the bench suggests to me there's a future for him. I think we're going to see a player coming out here. This is why I'm not too bothered about the likes of Sanchez and Dyer going. There are players on the way through. I think we've got to put more faith in him, more faith in all of them. I think he's at the head of the queue in a lot of ways. He's had that bit of game experience already with Blackburn, showing he's excellent at that level, ready to step up. And Postecoglou seems to have some faith in him. Let's see it. I'm not worried about him in the slightest.
I have to say one thing. I will say I do know a bit about him. As people know, I do look at the youngsters coming through, especially when it comes to the Spurs players. Now, I'm not going to say I knew a lot about him whilst he was Blackburn, but unbelievably, and I've mentioned it earlier, I have a Blackburn Rovers fan who is a close personal friend in Toronto, of all places. And he spoke to me about him before we bought him, like before he was even rumoured. So it's like, we've got this kick, and I never put two and two together. And then obviously when we did start going in for him, I asked him for a bit more. And this kid, and I've watched a few bits, and this is a talent. This is a talent. Like someone put in the comments, we have a worry of seeing youngsters, and like Jack mentioned, players coming through and their growth being and their pathway not being a clear one. Well, all I can say is the biggest statement was him on the bench on Saturday. I think that was a huge, huge indication that this guy is not going out on loan. This guy is here to stay. And this kid, I said it before. I can't remember. Was it you, Ben, that said not captain material? for me, I've said 2028. I've looked into my crystal ball. Ashley Phillips is the captain of Tottenham Hotspur. That's how convinced I am. I'm not going to go over the top and say I'm getting Alfie Divine vibes, because Alfie is a different person that we'll speak about later. This guy, he is power. He is strength, everything. I just don't want it to be that this pathway comes through to him too quickly. Like you said, Cooper, it's all right, make a couple of mistakes and whatever. We expect that. But this kid is for me, this kid is the real deal. You look at our youth that's coming through. This kid has it. And the only wish I had yesterday against Burnley, I said it this morning, and I said it with you, Cooper, is that he had come off the bench. Because could you imagine getting your first little Premier League start, whether it had been for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, away as a former Blackburn player, away at Burnley in a 5-2 win? That would have just set him right in and been like, gave him all the confidence. But yeah, Ashley Phillips, I'm telling you now, I'm putting I am backing this guy to the hill, and I honestly think once he gets there, and Adrian mentions it as well, the partnership that could blossom between these two and the time they have together, you could be looking at Tottenham's centre back pairing for a whole long time. So I just think Ashley Phillips, let's see what other people have put in about Phillips. First of all, big up Lappers. I haven't seen you about for a while. Always a pleasure to see you in here. Ashley, believe me, I cannot wait to get back here. For me, it is the best place in the world to live. I absolutely love that city. Ben has been to see me. Others will come and see me. It's, like I said, very exciting times for this guy. Now, the next player, got a funny feeling a lot of people are going to have a lot of things to say about this one. And it's all going to be positive. And Jack, I'm going to start with you. And then we'll go Ben, then we'll go Kuva. But everyone in the chat, get ready. It's Maddison time.
Oh, boy.
It's the jewel in the crown. Jack, off you go, buddy. Chat, let it go. Here we go.
Where to start? That's probably the best way to start. Signing of the summer, I think, as a whole, in terms of value for money, was it 40 million? Absolute steal. He controls everything. I think he's been our man of the match in every single game he's played. I think he's controlling that midfield. He's controlling that attack. Every goal we have scored has come from him, not as an assist wise, but like has some kind of involvement with him. I think that United game he was unreal. Just the way you know what? I'll be honest with you. When he was at Leicester, like I thought he was a good player, but when you actually watch him for 90 minutes, for your own club, you don't realise how good he actually is. I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but when he was at Leicester, I never really thought about how good he was. But his movement off the ball, his movement with the ball. My only worry is if when he gets injured, which he will, obviously, pray to God he won't. But when he gets injured, it's a massive miss. And where do we go from there? But bargain of the summer, transfer of the summer. I think he's got to start for England. He does got to start for England. I have to say, he's been so good. Did he get called up? Did he get called up
for England? Yeah, he did.
Well, he's got to start. He's been unreal since the first game of the season. He's literally he's that guy. He's literally that guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, Jack, I'm going to get all of you to answer this because, where is it? There it is from our boy Lee Smithy Smith. Would you, Jack, you answer that question, then Kuva and Ben, when you finish going on, would you say he's been our best signing in a decade?
I think that reflects how badly our signings have been recently more than anything. That is probably right or close to being right. So I think that's more reflective of how bad we do business normally. But I think it's probably between him. It could literally be anyone between him, Udogie, or Van der Ven. But then it still could be like Mr. Ndombele for me. I think you got to put him up there, don't you? But he's definitely up there. But I think that does reflect how bad our business has been in recent times. But he's definitely top 10 in the decade.
Okay, Ben, your thoughts?
he's just fantastic. I was fighting his corner. No one was really fighting his corner. Everyone was fighting the Maddison corner. This is a top footballer, and I've been saying it to all the people I know that support quote unquote bigger football clubs than us. They should have been signing a James Maddison, not a Tottenham out of Europe. This is a top footballer. This is one of the best footballers in the Premier League. And I think he's absolutely glorious. What a footballer. He's got absolutely everything a top footballer has. And now he's had his 2 kids. He's looked calmer. Now he's got this leadership symbol.
He's got 3 kids now. He had twins. He had one before.
He already had one, but now he's got a bit of...
Yeah.
Now he's had twins. And most importantly, he's happy to be here. We've got a top player who wants to be here. And it's only upwards and upwards. And I think he's going to make Tottenham his canvas to paint his greatest work as a footballer. And I'm so happy we've got him. We just need to add a couple more players like in his quality. But passing, excellent. Shots, excellent. Set pieces, excellent. He's got everything. And he's absolutely brilliant. And leadership as well.
Yep. You're not wrong there. Kuva, your thoughts on Maddison?
Struts around like he owns the place, rightly so. I think what elevates the value of his signing to this club is the fact we have been desperate for this kind of player for a long time. I remember when he was at Norwich and being among one of many of us that were saying, let's go and snap this kid up. There was a real talent there already. To see him at Leicester all those years, and we were linked with him regularly, even if the club weren't making official moves for him, as fans were saying, go and get him. And now he's moved up to all due respect to Leicester. We're at a different level than they are. They were struggling last season. Well, been struggling a couple of seasons, but we're just he's shining. He's really shining. The consistency is there now as well. I thought it was going to be one of these sort of hit and miss, perhaps 1 in 3 games he really shines. He did have he lacked that at Leicester, but for us, it's every game. Every moment of every game he's doing something. I thought the only drawbacks to his game would possibly be he's not that physical, he's not that quick, but the way he's playing and the speed of thought and the fact he's away from the player before they've even realised he was doing it, it kind of gives the illusion that he's really fast when he's driving forward with the ball, even though I know it's not the case. He's not a sprinter, but he just offers everything. He's got the ability to pick out a killer ball, sprays passes around for fun, can come deep and collect the ball and act as a sort of, American-style quarterback and rain out long passes, play the short game, literally can do it all. What a footballer. I absolutely love this bloke. Fan favourite already, without doubt, rightly so. Long may it continue, and I think the goals and assists will keep raining in this season. He's nicely slotted into my dream team, and the points are picking up nicely.
Yeah, I think I'll be adding
for him to step into that shirt number, which is one of the biggest weights you could possibly do. And he is absolutely thriving under the pressure, unlike another certain player we signed for big money, Richarlison, that can't hit a barn door. So the fact he's got that weight of shirt, being the replacement of the talisman for the last 10 years, and he's doing this. What a footballer. What a footballer.
Richarlison can't hit the barn door. Maddison's more likely to hit the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I saw what you did there, Kuva. I trust you to do that. Listen, what more can you say about James Maddison than you guys have said? All I will say is I didn't realise he had this kind of leadership material. I did not see that in him at all. Also, the one thing that I thought he was struggling with, and I didn't realise how good it was. And I don't know if our good friend Wayne Holland is still in the chat, who is a Leicester fan, and if he is, put in how he thinks he's adjusted to life in Spurs. It's his running with the ball. I didn't think he had it. We saw it against United where he just took the ball from the penalty area. I did not know he had this. He has got strings to his bow that I didn't even know that he had. This kid or I keep calling them kids. I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah.
This guy has come in and he's blown me away. And the thing I'd waited to see the last couple of games was him take advantage of his long-range shooting powers and how great they are. And what's he going to do against Burnley? One long-range shot, off you go. This guy, everything goes for him. But I have to say, alongside him, he's got the perfect midfield two behind him as well. In Sarr and Bissouma, who have been absolutely awesome for him.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely big up Hitesh, I want to say, and also big up my friend Yossi, who is out in Switzerland, originally from Australia, and has said the Australians are loving our content over there, and it is rising. And thank you to everyone and the 189 that are in here. But yeah, as you can see with Maddison, he can only get better, can't he, guys? That's the worrying thing. He can only get better, and that's the frightening thing. Okay, we come to the last player out, and obviously we can't talk a lot about him at all because I'm pretty sure all four of us never knew a lot about him before. And the people in the chat. Huh?
You forgot Solomon, Brian.
Oh shit! Wait a minute. Such an idiot. There we go.
Dare you?
Listen, I was being racist. I was being racist to my people again and leaving them out till last. I do apologise. I skipped. I skipped a player. So, Mr. Manor Solomon, obviously came in on a free. Shrewd bit of business. Kuva, what's been your thoughts on the original signing when it came, and then obviously how he settled into life at Tottenham?
He's been an interesting one. Before we signed him, we looked at him at Fulham and thought he's a bit part player. He doesn't really get starting times. He's more the substitute. Looked decent in that. But I thought we're signing him because he's cheap. It's typical what we do. Started off the season. Every time I looked at him, I was underwhelmed. I thought, decision making not that great. Technically looked okay, but wasn't really doing an awful lot with it. An attempt to run at the players, but hit and miss. But then against Burnley, he started off a little bit frustrating. I thought decision making not a bit off again, but then he just suddenly stepped up a gear, and it was suddenly, hello, we've got a little player here. Finished the game really strongly. He's making things happen. He really is. I think in rotation with some of the others we got up front now, we're looking pretty tidy. But as always, with any of these players coming in, the key bit is always going to be consistency. He needs to be showing us some of that week in, week out, and then we can really rate him. But I saw the signs there against Burnley that he's going to be pulling up a few flowers this season at least. Again, pace, ability to take on the player, carries the ball. It's all things that we can certainly use under the way Ange likes to play the football. Yeah. So let's see. Perhaps chip in a few goals and assists, so it'll all come together nicely. Don't know. Could go either way, but I'm looking positively with everything at the moment, and I think he's going to shine.
There we go. Now I have to say, before I come to you, Ben, and then to you, Jack, Adish, you went to Ashmole. Was in Ashmole in Southgate. If you did, you're you and me when it comes to schools are arch rivals because I'm a Southgate man. But yeah, so Dorrington used to go there. There we go. Small world. Ben Solomon.
We looked so much better with him on the left versus Burnley. We were with Sonny through the middle and Solomon on the left. It's just proven, as per usual, that chicken soup fixes everything. It fixes illness, it fixes broken bones, and of course, it fixes Tottenham Hotspur's front three. So big up the chicken soup. Solomon has come in. My man, glue on both feet, can go on the left, can go on the right. He's quick, and he will help make Sonny a better player. Both those assists he made for Sonny just peels off, makes a bit of space for everyone, and then puts a perfect ball to get a goal in. Chicken soup all the way. What a guy.
I mean, Jack, I feel sorry for you because you've got to try and follow that up. Your thoughts on Manor Solomon?
I think, just like you, Brian, I was so happy when we signed him. Not just because he's Israeli, but he was actually really good at Fulham. Because I was always keeping. I actually bought him ages ago on Football Manager. So I like to say I found him first a few years ago. But he was unreal for Fulham last year. And I do think we have a player in our hands. He was really good against Burnley, but I will say he was really poor against Fulham midweek. But it was his first game for us. Funny enough, actually, I don't know if I put it in our group chat. My Israeli girlfriend met him the other week in St John's Wood, and apparently he was lovely to her. They were speaking of it. And I did see a quote somewhere. I don't know if you saw it, about the reason why he was really happy to join Spurs was because of that whole Israeli Jewish link.
Yep.
Once you got to thank Levy for doing something for us. I think it's a great signing for us.
We're not thanking him for anything. Remember, this is
don't make me come down there. Don't make me come down there.
I love him. I love him. I love
home of Levy out. We don't give him any props.
No, but I love Solomon. I think he'll be a very good player for us. If as long as he keeps consistent, and I do think Ange's got it right against Burnley, playing him on the was it the left, some through the middle, because I do think was it you who said it, Ben, or that the partnership between him and Son could really could work. I think.
Yeah. You saw it. You saw it on that game, but you know what? With Solomon, if you look at it, the way I look at it with him is last summer and last season we were missing pace. We were missing just people that will just run at people and scare the crap out of them last season. And Manor Solomon is that person. And then you put oh, wait a minute, I'm just realising, have I left? Yeah, I only went and left out. I'm going to have to add. I left another player out. There's two players we're going to talk about. There's Phillips and another one that we certainly signed on transfer deadline day that I forgot to put in. But you look at the pace that they've got. Manor Solomon, I said when it came in, was a very, very shrewd bit of business if the money went elsewhere. Did it or didn't it? That's a different show and a different topic and a different debate. But Manor Solomon coming in was, for me, an incredible bit of business. And we saw he didn't play well against Fulham, but boy, did he make up for it against Burnley.
Yeah.
2 assists on your debut. What more can you say?
And he's got a wonder of his left foot when he cuts inside.
Yeah.
2 of his goals. Right foot. Whatever foot it is, if he gets onto it, I think he'll be a good player. And someone just said on here, if you can see it, the Israeli league is, they are producing a lot of talent now, as I'm sure you know, Brian, as well. It's a guy who just went to Bayern and another one who went to Salzburg. I'm hoping that we can pick up 1 or 2 more because there is a few coming through, the great Holy Land. Maybe we can pick up 1 or 2 because I do think we could, as much as we hate Levy, I do think he can build up maybe a connection between the Israeli league and Tottenham, just being, a North London Jewish club. So hopefully many more to come.
That's strike two.
Hopefully many more to come, though. That's what I want.
Yeah, don't let me get to strike. Don't let me get to strike 3. Yep, don't let me get to strike 3.
You're out.
Need more Israelis. We need more Israelis.
Well, if we're going to go for the Jewish connection, let's get in with Ajax because they've got a huge Jewish
as well.
Oh, massive following.
Which
this one that I said,
and also Bayern Munich as well. Bayern Munich have a massive connection.
Well, Amsterdam used to be called Jerusalem of the West, didn't it?
Yeah.
After the war. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Valise. Let's talk about our Argentinian that came out of nowhere. Ben, go on. You spoke. So before you speak, Ben, before you speak, go check Fabrizio. Ndombele is pretty much done, and it looks like Sanchez will be as well. I'm sorry if I'm lagging a bit again. I think I'm about to go through some choppy waters. Ben, over to you with Elise.
Yeah, I don't know much about this player at all. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I've heard bits that he's an up-and-coming South American talent, and that's always good to look at talent and that can possibly push in the team. It's going to take time. And seems to like the look of him, but he's already said this guy needs a lot of time to bed in. With some of the South Americans we've got in the squad, I think they can help him get used to life in England and in the Premier League. But we don't know that much about him yet. I mean, Adrian Schrock has put 6'2", very good in the air. Let's have a look. Let's see where he is in a couple of months, and let's see if he gets some games in the cup. I don't know anything, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert. But hopefully he's great. Hopefully he's great, and hopefully it's us looking at talent again, because we need talented players in this squad.
There we go. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty much the same all round. Kuva, what's your thoughts on the acquisition of Valise?
Sorry, kids just coming back to school. My eldest is using some colourful language. Valise, I've got to admit, I've not seen even a second of him playing football. Not even a second.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go entirely on the things I've heard about him. People saying he is that sort of target man that you need in the box. He's a bit raw around the edges, but he's got the physical attributes to deal with the Premier League. He just needs to work on a lot of his all-round game to fit in. And I think Big Ange hinted along the lines of he's not going to be ready till the second half of the season anyway. So bit of work to do, but one for the future. I can't say if it's a good or bad signing at all. I'm just hopeful.
There you go. And big up JP in the house from Tottenham Away. Everyone check out Tottenham Away. They'll be streaming, I'm sure they normally do at 8:30 this evening. So big up to them. Jack, have you got any knowledge of Valise, or did you have any knowledge beforehand?
I'd be lying if I said I did, Brian, I'll be honest. Don't think anyone did. I'm sure Johnny probably does. Look, if he's another one similar to Phillips, if he actually gets game time and doesn't, unlike other youngsters, gets, sold when they're end of the contract. If he actually can play, then I guess apparently, people are raving about him. So there's not a lot to say really, because I don't think anyone knows too much about him. The only annoying thing is I'm a bit annoyed that it's going to take him so long to apparently play. Why couldn't he play against Fulham? If he's not playing, what is he doing? It should have just sent him on loan. I know he needs to settle down, probably learn a bit of English. I know he's still only 18, but if he's good as people say he is, he was starting for his club back in Argentina, right? Why couldn't he play off the bench, or why couldn't he start against Fulham? That's the only annoying thing is. But look, I'm not a manager, so. But if he becomes good, it's an absolute bargain, isn't it? But who knows?
I think I'll add on top of that, Jack, because like I said, I know absolutely nothing.
No one did, Brian.
Watched a couple of YouTube videos, but let's face it, YouTube can make anyone look good.
Yeah.
I think the best thing I can take out of it is that we're actually scouting South America, and actually not just scouting South America, bringing in someone in. We all know what happened with Damiel and other youngsters. Could this guy be the real deal?
Wasn't it?
Yeah. It was Gabriel.
João Pedro, obviously.
Exactly. I mean, it could be a fantastic acquisition. It could be, what have we done here? But the way we're scouting at the moment, I am very hopeful for this guy. I am hopeful, but I don't think there's much more we can speak about him. So now we are on to the last player, and then we're going players out, and then that's where I think we may be a little bit more critical about players and what they've done for us or didn't do for us, and what we think they'll do. Kuba, I'm going to come to you first. Transfer deadline day. It took all day up until 11 o'clock, as we all knew it would be, to drag out the transfer that we knew for days it was going to happen. What is your thoughts on Brennan Johnson?
At first, when we were linked with him, I thought he's not really the player I personally would have gone for, because I'll be looking for somebody that can do the sort of things James Maddison does, the the player with loads of vision and little tricks and skills on the ball that can make magic happen around the box. Brennan Johnson's a different sort of player. He's not as technically gifted as a James Maddison or perhaps a Kulusevski. But what he does make up for it in leaps and bounds is first, he's lightning quick, one of the fastest in the Premiership. He can travel with the ball at his feet, which is a common theme here with Ange's team and the sort of players he wants. He can shift with the ball at his feet, get that ball forward, get the team driving forward. Very difficult to defend against that sort of player. It's easier to mark somebody who's going to get passed to than try and keep up with somebody that's just got raw pace. All defenders will tell you the same. Pace is the one they fear the most. Now, Johnson, on top of that, is the fact that he can play anywhere across that front three. And when at Forest, he didn't get a lot of chances to score goals, but when he was given a chance, he generally tended to take it. He's clinical. He finds the bottom corners and things. That's something else. That gives us options for him. I never thought about it before. We could run him right through the middle. I mean, if you're going to get Sonny in the game at all, arguments for having him through the centre as the 9. But I'd think of it as the front three in general. It's all a case of just getting any of them in and around the box. If you get players that are quality strikers of the ball and get them in those areas, get the ball to their feet, you're going to get goals out of them. We've seen it with Sonny now when he's in that area and the ball supply to him. Brilliant finishes against Burnley. I think Brennan Johnson has a lot of those same attributes. Not the most silky smooth player in the world, but he can be devastating. I think the way we're playing and the step up from the players available around him at Forest, all due respect to them, which isn't much, by the way, because disrespect to every other team nowadays.
Yeah.
But the step up to come to us when you got the likes of Maddison picking you out with a killer pass.
Yeah.
Kulusevski doing it. Sonny's been pretty good this season at picking out passes as well. I think he could be a secret weapon that works really well for us.
Yeah.
But we do need to see, don't we? It's going to take time. Is he going to fit straight into the team? Possibly not. There's no rush, though. He can take his time, get half a football here and there. We do get an injury. I've got no problems with him coming into the team. I think he could be a much better signing than a lot of our fan base is giving him credit for, myself included. It's only in hindsight I'm looking back thinking this could be a really good one. Really could be. Pace is terrifying. If you got pace and you can finish, there's something there. I think Big Ange sees it and I think he can utilise it. Exciting times ahead. And it's nice to have a forward line with some genuine pace in it for a change.
It's frightening, isn't it, Coover? And Jack, what's your thoughts on the actual transfer and now how you can see how it may fit very, very well into an Ange system?
I think I'll be real. I think I spoke to you, Brian, about it. I do think it's a bit underwhelming. I do think we also left it a bit too late. I also do think we have overpaid for him. I do think he'll be good for us, but I will stand by that 50 million is quite expensive for him. I do think he's a 30 million pound player, but then that is probably what he's worth to Nottingham Forest, keeping them up in the league. But and also you got to add like the price that you're paying on deadline day. The fact that we've left it that late is always going to add 10, 15 million, because it gives them no time to buy anyone. But how I can see him fitting in, I would like to see him through the middle. I don't think we have any problem on the wings in terms of players. So I would like to see him maybe replace Richie. But like I said, he is a good player, but I do think 50 million is a bit too expensive for me personally. Okay. I would have liked to see 30 million with a player going the other way. But yeah, let's see. I guess I'm happy to eat my words and hold my hands up to him. But time to tell.
That's the thing, Jack. Is where thankfully you're one of the guys that will come on and say, "Yeah, do you know what? I got that wrong," which is great. Thank you very much indeed for that, JP. Just guys, the like rate is incredible. We're at 191 people watching right now, and at my last count, it's at 128 likes. The conversion rate is incredible. If we can get it slightly higher, so much the better. Just got to tap that thumb. That's all you have to do. But Ben,
still about 60 people that aren't allowed to enjoy the content if they're watching.
Yeah, not allowed.
That's true. That's true, Kuva. But yeah, Ben, your thoughts on our new acquisition? I love using that word. It's a big word.
As you know, Brian, I'm very, very angry with this signing. Not because he isn't quick, not because he isn't good with the ball, not because of this and that. It's because he stopped me getting a bloody Eeyore onesie. So damn you, Brennan Johnson. You stopped my dream of getting an Eeyore onesie. That is a terrible, terrible crime, and you should be ashamed of yourself. But in all seriousness, I don't know about this signing. 45 million is a lot of money for a young player. We'll have to see where it goes. We'll have to give him time. We'll have to give him support. But if he does well, we'll look forward to it. He's the second fastest player in the Premier League. He's the second fastest. And that is frightening pace. That is frightening to have that sort of pace. And we've needed that for a long time since Aaron Lennon. And we'll have to see how good he is. We'll have to see where he goes.
So you know what? I'm going to have my say, and I've seen already, and he said he's going to sit back and watch this and listen intently. A great supporter of the channel, Colin Cross, is in here, who has been wanting this signing and championing this signing for like weeks before it even became a talking point. I didn't understand the transfer at the beginning. I'm going to be honest here. I did not understand it. I thought we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker. Oh, we're going for a winger. And it just didn't make sense to me. But the more and more you look at the reason why Ange wants him, as you've all said, the blinding pace, the searing pace, getting the ball up top. As you said, Ben, he is the second fastest player in the Premier League with the ball at his feet and away from it. We are talking serious pace. And then you put Solomon on the other side as well. We've gone from being slow, backwards, sideways, long ball forward to a certain person, to literally no one knows what we're about to do. Is it going to be a long ball? Is it going to be blistering pace? Is it coming through the middle? Is it going down? We have become the most unpredictable team in a good way. Of teams last year knew, okay, Tottenham play 3-4-3, 3-4-3, 3-4-3. Same play, style of play. Doesn't matter if a player's injured, we'll just put another player in there that can't play that position to play it. Well, now there's option, now there's cover, now there's pace, now there's strength, now there's... I didn't get this signing to begin with, but after seeing... If he had started against Burnley, not saying he would have scored or anything, but I think that score may have been 2 or 3 more for us because they just couldn't cope with us. And if we had the pace coming down that side that quick, I think it is going to be a good signing. Now, before we go to players out, very quickly, we're just going to go round, and I just want ratings on incomings, not incomings and outgoings the transfer window. Rating out of 10 of just incomings. And Kuva, I'm going to go to you first. And everyone in the chat, put your just incomings. Business done. Forget outgoings. The players that have come in to Tottenham this year, what are you giving this ranking? Kuva?
Well, I really don't like doing these ratings because for me, you've got to look at the picture as a whole. But if I'm forced into it, Vicario, Van der Ven, Maddison, Solomon, Brennan Johnson, Phillips. I'd give that a 9 out of 10. There's some real talent in that. Two of them in particular, well, 3 of them in particular. We've replaced the goalkeeper as centre backs, and we've got Maddison. Those 3 alone make this a good window in terms of incomings. But as usual, I'll try and temper with that with look what we could have done and look what we should have done.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're a little bit. It's a little bit more underwhelming from that point of view. But purely on the talent of the ones that come in, I'm really happy with that.
There we go, Ben.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 personally because I think we needed 2 more centre backs. We really needed another 2. Actually, I'm going to call it a 6.5. Actually, I'm going to go 6.5 because we needed 2 defenders and we needed a defensive midfielder, in my opinion. But it's a positive with some of the players going in. We've actually got some talented players in. There doesn't seem to be that many complaints about the signings we've made. Brennan Johnson's a bit of an interesting one, but we will see. We'll see. But I think for incomings, I would say 6.5.
There we go,
that's,
Jack.
That's different. That's a different rule set to what I was using, though. That's
Yeah,
like I said.
literally only on incomings. Only incomings, Ben.
Yeah. 6.5.
Incomings.
6.5 for incomings.
Okay, Jack.
I think if you're looking at incomings alone, you've got to give it an 8 because we haven't really made a bad signing. There's no, Maddison has played really well, so on and so forth. So I think 8, and I do think we're missing as Ben said, a centre back. So I do think 8 would be a fair if you're just talking about incomings alone.
Okay, I'm going slightly low. Actually, no, I was going to go 7.5, but I'm going to agree with you, Jack. I am going to agree with you. Yes, we needed another centre back, which would have made it a lot higher for me. It may have pushed it up to that magic full marks, but the players that are coming, like Kuva said, Maddison, Van der Ven, and Udogie themselves are just outstanding. And what we've done around it, it's not bad for a first window considering how much we had to do. And look at it, 10 points out of 12. Like Johnny said earlier, every single one of those players, apart from Son, was brought in under since Paratici's kind of time. So it's a brand new team practically compared to old. And the way they've adjusted and got to familiarise themselves with each other's games, I'm going with you with 8. Right, before we go to outgoings, super chat from Michael. I'm over the moon to have Sanchez and Ndombele out. I have faith in Phillips and Dorrington until January. Dyer has no allies or shoulders to cry on. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, I think that's pretty much bang on, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Spot on.
It's on. It's on. Thank you very much indeed for that, Michael. Now we go. This will be fun. Right, so again, I haven't done this in any order, but I've done players that have left the club permanently to players that have gone out on loan. But obviously, we'll start. I'll try and do this in order, and we'll leave the big 2 that's going up right now till the end. So let's start with this man. How happy are you to see this man? Do you think we're going to miss... I'm going to have to ask these questions. Are we going to miss him? Ben, your thoughts on Winksy?
It was about time he went. He's been here for too long. It's a real shame because he was a very talented footballer. When he was playing in the youth team as a number 10, he looked like a real star in the making. But he got a really bad injury against Burnley and he never really recovered from it. And he just reverted to sideways and backward passing. He had some excellent games in the Tottenham shirt. So I wish him all the best for Leicester, and I hope Leicester do well this year because it's always good to see players that came from your academy do well. But it was time to go. It was time to go. We don't need the crab anymore. No more sideways and backwards. And yeah, it was going to happen. It was going to happen.
Jack?
I'm happy for him. I think it's a shame. I do think the club failed him. I'll be honest. He loved the club. You could tell. But like Ben said, I want him to do well because at the end of the day, he does love Spurs. He's obviously a Yid. His whole family, isn't it? His family a season ticket holder or something. His dad is.
Yeah.
So he loves the club, but I do think the club failed him at the end of the day. I was actually at the game when he scored against West Ham. I remember thinking he'd be like everyone else, probably that he'd be the next big thing. But I just hope he does well. I hope he does well for the sake of his career, his family. And unlike people like Dyer, I actually don't have any hate for, because he's a Spurs fan at the end of the day. He's one of us. So I would love to see him do well for Leicester, or, whoever he goes to afterwards. But yeah.
There we go. Kuva, Harry Winks. What are you feeling? Look at the smile that just came to your face.
His Spurs career went in the blink of an eye, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's a play on words. Never mind.
Oh, very good. I just saw that.
Yeah. Let's face it, his career with us, it was wrecked in one injury. He was never the same player after it. The start he had with us, we thought, wow, this kid's going to be big. never forget that game against Real Madrid where he just bossed it. He was absolutely fantastic. But the same as we've seen with a few players, Dele Alli's another one.
Yeah.
It didn't last forever, and the distant memories are distant memories. So it was time for him to go a long time ago. He needed to try and find somewhere resurrecting his career. We've held on to it for him too long. I wish him the best. As Jack said, I do believe he feels a lot for Tottenham, and he's wanted to do his best here, but it's not happening. I think he needs a little less physical league where he's not worried about getting clattered. Perhaps his game will improve at that point. I don't see him really doing too much from now on of staying in this country. Shame, real shame, but I wish him the best. We can't
forget when we played in the Champions League final, he was head and shoulders above every single person. So he was the only player that turned up in that Champions League final. Come to think of it, he was the only one that cared enough to turn up in the Champions League final. The rest of them bloody well didn't, but it just wasn't good enough in the end.
No, you're right. I mean, all I've got to say on him was obviously, like Kuva said, that injury against Burnley finished him. He was never, ever the same player. And all I will say that happened with him is he fell, I think, he was the biggest victim of manager in, manager out, different style of play here, different style of player there. And the way we started elevating our game, it weren't his ceiling was there, and we wanted our ceiling to be here. And he just wasn't good enough. But rather than letting him go earlier and establishing that, we kept him and we kept him and we kept him and we kept him. Familiar story that, hey. And literally, he got dragged down with it. I think he's going to be wonderful at Leicester. From what I've heard from Wayne Holland, he started off very, very well. And it's the right style of football for him, but it just wasn't to be for him. And thankfully, he's got his move and can start his career. The next one, you mentioned Champions League, so we'll go here, Ben, and we'll go to you first.
Yeah.
Lucas Moura, what do we think of his time at Spurs? And it was more than time to go, wasn't it?
At the end of his career, he was diabolical. So every time he came on, apart from against Leeds when it was all but over, he cost us big points when we really needed to kick on. It's really sad for him because he should have been he should have been Tottenham's hero. He could have been, and it's sad how someone that was you live long, you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. After that Champions League season, he should have gone. He should have gone because everything after that, he was absolutely terrible, absolutely woeful, and gave us some brilliant moments. I actually will always remember that as a cult hero moment. But how bad he was in those last 4 seasons or whatever it was. How bad.
Last season especially.
It was like, he was like not even League One level a lot of the time. Like that's the only time he sort of turned up was when he was playing lower division teams in like the lower levels of the FA Cup. That was when he was turning up. And the coup de grace, as they say, was the only team he turned up against in the Premier League last season was Leeds, and they were horrific. Like, awful. They were awful, and that's the only team he turned up against. But shocking.
Yep. Kuva, your thoughts on one Lucas Moura?
Rarely have I been so frustrated with a player. This bloke had all the talent in the world, and we just rarely got the end product out of it from him. Great against that night in Amsterdam. We will never forget that. He's always going to have a sort of welcome smile on the face if he comes back to the club. But overall, really disappointing player. I know people big up another fan favourite is Aaron Lennon, but I see similarities. It's a player that should have been far more devastating, should have had far more end product, was capable of ripping teams apart, and just didn't have the sort of numbers to back it up. It should have been so many more goals from him. Lucas Moura, at his best, is a fantastic player, a joy to watch. He scored some memorable goals for us, but they're also memorable from how far and few between they are. Waste of his talent, I think. Ultimately disappointed. I don't like saying that about players, especially when they got that sort of bag of skills. But another one, Dele Alli, same thing.
Yeah.
Another one crops up in that sort of conversation. So good luck to him. I like his attitude. I think he lives and breathes football, but wanted more from him. A player with that skill should deliver. He should have been one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Completely agree, Jack.
I'm going to disagree with a lot of people, and I say, look, he weren't good last season, but I think at the end of the day, he gave a lot to this club. I think he loved the club. I know that doesn't win you points or anything, but he gave us some great moments, and I would like to see a bit more respect on his name. I know last season he wasn't the best, cost us against Everton, and who was the other team he didn't cost us against? Liverpool. He should have gone. I know he should have gone a year or two ago. 100% agree, but I would like to see a bit more respect on his name. I think what he's done for us is amazing. That night I would never.
Unfortunately, though, Jack, the last 4 seasons were not good. They were awful.
I don't disagree, but that is, I think that has to go down to the club. Trying to keep players for too long when they shouldn't be kept for too long. But he loves the club. He gave 100% every time he came on, which a lot of players who play for this club don't do, and at other clubs. And he gave us some special moments. I think for me, that Ajax, I wasn't there, but my dad was there. Sadly, I wasn't allowed to go. Yeah, I think I've always said I would always love to meet him and just say thank you for what he gave to us, because that Champions League final, I don't know if you were there, you three, but for me, being there, being with my dad, just seeing my club being a Champions League final was the best weekend of my life, even though we lost. So for me, he will always live in my heart.
You live and die by the sword, unfortunately. You live and die by the sword.
No, I know.
Ben is ruthless with this.
I know. He gave a lot. And he loved the club. And like I said, not a lot of players now, especially nowadays in modern football, care about the club they play for, and they just do it for the money. But you can, whoever said it before, you can tell he loves football. He just loves playing football, and he should have gone ages ago. I agree.
He should have. He most definitely should have. Listen, no one will ever take away what he did. He will live down as a Spurs hero. I called him for years, and people of my generation older will know what I'm talking about. I call him the Brazilian Darren Huckabee, because all he did is put his head down and just ran, and most of the time into a brick wall.
Yeah, he's a headless chicken.
Oh, mate, he could do things. He could go on runs that would skin defences alive.
Dribbling is unreal, actually. You can't deny. Yeah,
but that would be. But then there would be nothing to it. His crossing.
Yeah.
But listen, I'll remember one of his last goals he scored for us was an absolute banger against Norwich.
It was at home.
Yeah, at home around Christmas time. An absolute took it round the play and then just smacked it on the half volley. And on his day, he could be unplayable. But
but he should have played in the final.
He should have played in the final. 100% he should have started in the final without a question of a doubt. But again, like you said, it's another player that stayed too long.
Yeah, agreed.
Listen, the character, the love for Spurs, the person, incredible. Kind of like a Sandro, with how he loves the club. But unfortunately, nowhere near with Sandro. Okay, this is the one. Here we go. We have to do it because we're dealing with outgoings. I can't believe I'm putting his name up.
Okay.
Kuva, I'm going to come to you first, because forget the saga, forget the mess that all that was. There was a question before, is this as big a loss as we think it is, seeing that we can now play a different style, and your overall feelings now that he's gone?
My overall feelings is good luck to the man. He's been an absolute legend for this club. He's carried us through some hard times. He's been here when we're having great times under Pochettino as well. Can't forget all those goals. Can't forget all those goal celebrations, especially again when it comes to North London derbies. And some big games where he scored goals. He'll be remembered for not winning anything with us. That's such a painful thing to have to say. It really is, because would have loved to have seen him lift a trophy. He might have still been here if that had happened. But end of the day, you got to move forward. We have heroes come and go. Our next ones are on the way. Already, I've taken to Maddison massively. I've taken to Udogie massively. So we're finding a way forward. And I remember this discussion coming up last season. A lot of it when I was on with Sava, and we're talking about Spurs needing to find a way to play as a team and not relying on one or two players as their entire attacking option. We're seeing that now. I think the funny thing is, I think we're looking a lot better now than when he was here. And sometimes it just does take a massive shake-up just to realise it is a team game. It's no longer about finding the pass out to Kane and the flipped ball over the top for Sonny to race onto, or Harry Kane header saving us. Those sorts of things. We're finding other ways to play. He is a treasured thing of the past already now, and I do treasure him. I'll never have a bad word to say against the man. He was absolutely brilliant for us. But it's now the Ange era, and he's not part of that.
Damn right. And Jack, I'm going to come to you first, because the reason I'm coming to you first is because you said about respect on someone's name with Moura. Some of the abuse I've seen Kane getting for this move is mate, that photo, the photos that I saw with him going around that were just awful from any way you want to look at it, and I think people can imagine with him going to Germany what they were. This guy is probably, I always say Paul Gascoigne is my favourite player and the best player I've seen, but there's no doubt Kane is the greatest player in Spurs' recent history.
Billy says that.
And right up there. So how are you, Jack, also with you being the youngest here, obviously you grew up Kane era, blah, blah, blah. What are you thinking about the transfer?
Like you just said, a lot of people in my age, my generation, grew up watching Kane. I actually grew up watching Bale as well, but I would have been about 8, 9. But in terms of proper memory, proper being at the stadium, watching the games, remembering it, Kane was that guy. I'm happy it's done, because it was getting a bit boring and tedious. And it, like you just said before, we can move on and just focus on the Ange era. There's no more of this. Kane's going to be going next year. Kane's going to be leaving. Who's he going to go to? Who's he going to sign on? We can actually focus on the project, the process, and the manager, and what actually matters the most. But it's sad. Like I said, I would love to see a bit more respect on his name. Everything he's done for us. I think he stayed with us too long. I do believe he should have gone for his own sake. I mean, I would love him to stay forever, but for his own sake, he outstayed himself. I think he would have loved to stay on. But unfortunately, again, we failed him. We massively failed him. The club failed him. Well, not us as fans, but Levy failed him. Unfortunately, he didn't see the project or the process. But yeah, Levy failed him. Many good games under us. I think the City one. I know you were there, Brian. 3-2. For me, my age group, and a lot of young kids growing up now, Kane will be their favourite players. They will still. I haven't seen them personally, but are people still wearing Kane Spurs shirts to the stadium, or not? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
I haven't seen many.
I haven't been in the stadium.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is, honestly, because he's that much of a big name for Tottenham. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Levy bloody put up a thing before Bill Nick, a statue, just because Kane's a big name to Tottenham. But yeah.
Yep.
I've never met him, so.
I mean, it's such a weird situation for people of my generation and the younger generation, because we've grown up watching this guy. I remember first seeing him when I was 18. So I've grown up.
18 when you first. I've
grown up with this guy. It's like it's it's like the whole what I compare it to is they did a thing on the Grand Tour about the Ford Mondeo. And the Ford Mondeo, for a lot of people driving to the pub, it's like with your mate. And Harry Kane was like a friend to me. It's like losing your best friend, because we've known him for so long, like growing up with them and seeing the progression from young kid to up and coming striker to good striker to world class to elite. We've seen that progression, and now it's gone like it never even happened. It's when you lose a footballer, it can be sad. It can be like it's a period or a reflection. But when you lose a friend, that's heartbreaking. And the fact that he's gone without winning a single bit of silverware, the fact that he's gone, that he was not even, we didn't build a team around him. We never fully built a team around him. The reason we relied on him is because we had to, not because we built around him. It's because we had to. And that is the biggest disgrace that Harry Kane, the best ever goal scorer in terms of numbers, has left Tottenham Hotspur without even a League Cup, without winning anything. And Mr. Levy's got to be ashamed of himself. He should be utterly ashamed of himself that this has been allowed to happen. And yeah, we've earned great money from him, and so it was time to go for him. Unfortunately, we've made great money out of it, but who knows what's for the future? I don't think that a lot of people say he'll be back after winning a couple of trophies. With some of the stuff that we've heard about that's happened in the back stages, I don't think we'll ever see him through that stadium ever again. And I don't
think we will. He'll go to United or something.
That building ever again, and
he'll go to United.
Awful.
Well, what a time for me to come in. He won't be back unless someone has left the building permanently. And we know what we're talking about. But do you know what? I am just absolutely delighted that he's gone abroad. I'm absolutely delighted that this saga is over with, and we don't have to go through it year in, year out. This guy deserves trophies. He deserves all the accolades. If he ever comes back to Spurs as a Bayern player, I will stand up and applaud that man like he's wearing a Spurs shirt.
There's a lot of people will boo him. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people will boo him.
Well, if they do, do you know what? People have their right to an opinion, like on everything, but this man gave us everything he could. Everything he could and more, only to be told things would happen and they wouldn't. But in a way, and I can't remember who said it, but someone said it right. This couldn't have happened at a better time, because we brought in a manager now to play a different style of football where it's completely different. If this had been under a Conte, under a Jose, we would have been in big, 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 big trouble. Big trouble. And I think it's cushioned the blow. And do you know what? That's enough talking about the biggest blow. Let's talk about the biggest celebration, because we've had a here we go. Let's talk goodbye. See you later. Ta-da. Sayonara. Every other goodbye in every language. Litrod. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Undum bye-bye has gone, Kuva. For the time being, how happy are you?
Riddance. Absolutely riddance. Bone idle, couldn't give a damn, picks up his wages like some sort of thief. No, got absolutely no time or respect for him whatsoever. I'll take Richarlison over 10 of him every time.
Yeah.
At least Richarlison tries. He puts in the effort. And Ndombele, nah, have a little wine, have a sulk. Don't train, whatever. Can't even last 60 minutes. What's that? Absolutely pointless. Massively overhyped, massively overpaid. Cannot get rid of him on a permanent basis fast enough. Yeah. I would have cancelled his contract years ago.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're to say you're rather happy, Kuva would be another statement.
I'll tell you what, mate. Just seeing the name, it genuinely makes me angry.
Yeah.
This kind of absolute tosser at this club.
I think Adrian sums it up in true Kuva style. Let me just find Adrian's comment. What do you reckon to that, Kuva?
Yeah, okay. I actually would piss in his ear.
Ben, your feelings on Undum Bye Bye?
I hope he does absolutely brilliant at Galatasaray, so they bloody buy him. I mean, after seeing him at Morecambe trudge off the pitch, when he should be like with a player of his talent, he's got more talent in one toe than most players have in their entire body.
Yeah.
He just does not care. He doesn't care. He's got no respect for himself, his teammates, the people that work in the back end, the fans. He's got no respect for anything. He's a hateful footballer. He's an absolutely hateful footballer. And I hope they buy him as quick as possible. And I hope if he does what he does at Tottenham at Galatasaray, I pray for him, because they do not respect people that don't work hard in Turkey. Look, we've seen it. We've seen football teams go there, and Galatasaray fans are saying, "Welcome to hell." If he does what he does, he will be in deep trouble, because they will not accept it over there. So hopefully he does well. So Ndombele or Ndombele off.
Jack.
Some people just don't realise how lucky they are.
Yeah, correct. Kuva, you've got it in one. Jack, what's your thoughts on Ndombele?
As he just said, I think it's more of a shame for him than anything, because the guy, he's got so much talent but just doesn't care. So I think he'll be one of those players, I reckon, that might look back in his career and say, why didn't I do more of it? Why didn't I put more effort in? Because, he could have been a great player, which is such a shame, isn't it? But I'm so glad he's gone, because there is literally no reason for him to be at this club anymore.
There we go. Yeah, I'm just to be very, very quick with this one, because like I just get annoyed with this guy. After you did what you did at Morecambe that Ben mentioned, that was it. Done for me. Done.
Yeah.
But Ange came in and said, listen, I'm going to give everyone a clean slate. He couldn't even do that. And Colin sums it up brilliantly. I'm getting wound up just thinking about him. We'll move on now, and goodbye and good riddance and piss off, basically. The next person we'll talk about could be going to the same club as him. Going to the same club, but obviously there's been a bit of talk about him either way. I don't think, I'm checking that right now, I don't think we've had the here we go yet. So that's why it's question marks. Jack, your feeling on Sanchez?
Bit upset for obvious reasons.
Oh, of course. Yep.
Look, for personal reasons, I really like him, but he's not good enough for the club. But I personally will never say a bad word for him. He's a very lovely guy, but he's not good enough for the club.
Yeah, so Jack will know a bit about him. I'm not going to say it bag on the money, but let's just say Jack lives in the same area as him and may see him often. And as a person, he's always been good. Yeah.
I think that the one thing that really sums him up is I lost my football when I was playing with my mate, and he hands me one of those like official Premier League balls when I knocked on his door. So he's always been really good to me, but he ain't good enough for the club.
There you go. It certainly weren't one of his hat-trick balls, was it? No, it definitely weren't. It definitely weren't one of them. Kuva, we'll go to you again. Your feelings towards Sanchez leaving the club, and is this the right time?
A lot of people will know that my second club's Ajax. Anyway, got me and Danny Kiriako. We can often talk about what's going on there. When Sanchez was at Ajax, he was colossal. He really was. He came over, and people forget his first season with us. He was really good.
Yeah,
he really was good. But the wheels fell off. Unlike Ndombele, I've never accused Sanchez of not trying. Yeah. He's always put himself up for things. He was there to take a penalty on Tuesday night when others were shying away. He's not afraid of the spotlight. He still keeps plugging away even when he has a calamitous error or something. He's not been good enough. No, I don't think he's been as bad for this club as some others have. I wouldn't say Sanchez is a toxic player or anything like that. No. He just lost his way, unfortunately. Yeah. I'd like to see him get his career back on track, just on the human level. But obviously he doesn't fit now. So if we can get rid of him, then off he goes. It's simple at the end of the day. You've got to be a bit ruthless with players when you want to shape a winning squad. He's clearly not going to be part of it in the long term. Let's just have a happy end to an unhappy period for him. Get a nice little transfer fee bump on signing for him, and everybody walks away.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Cooper. I think he deserves a lot of respect for stepping up to take that penalty when others, Højbjerg, didn't set up to take it.
I didn't get that, Brian. Why the hell is Sanchez going number 3? Like, the geezer gets enough death threats. The geezer gets enough death hate. All right, let's put him on the penalty so he misses, so he gets more.
Well, that's the thing. And again, you had it. Again, you had it that the players like England in the Euro final, the real players that should have shown leadership and stood up to take one, certainly looked like they bottled it. Sanchez, you got like Cooper said when he first came, he was playing alongside Jan and Toby. And let's face it, you could play one of us 3, 4 next to Jan and Toby, and we'll come up looking like the next best thing. He has all the attributes. I said it this morning. I really like him, apart from when the ball's at his feet.
Yeah,
and it's a bit of a problem when you're a professional footballer.
Yeah,
to have a problem with the ball, especially in this team. So it was right. It's the right time. He's been confident, shot to bits. I wish him all the best in Turkey. I think we left light, but hopefully Phillips will go in. Before we go on to the next one, thank you, Moondog. Was the ball Moon Boots' shot that landed into Sanchez Garden? Yeah, I don't think Eric Dyer had taken a shot, although it could have been. It could have been 2 balls that Sanchez got into. Who's the next person I've got on my list? I think we're now into to loans, and I've left the last loan. Oh no, there's one more permanent. There's one more permanent, and it's going to be an easy one. Listen, he was never going to break into Tottenham, and it just needed to be done. Jack, Harvey White.
Ain't got a Scooby, mate. I don't think anyone does.
There you go.
Again, what wasn't he like tipped to be next up and coming or whatever for the club? God knows, honestly. The game's never failed prospect. Never had a look in, but wish him all the best. I don't know anything about him, honestly, Brian.
There you go, Ben.
Yeah, what a shame for the boy, but I hope he does well. It's good that he's finally spreading his wings and flying, and let's hope he does all the best, because every time I saw him playing a Tottenham shirt, he looked pretty decent. So maybe he can bring something to Stevenage. But if he's going to Stevenage, he can't be that great, can he?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I thought you were going to break up into a Westlife song when you said time to fly and spread his wings. I really was looking forward to that. Kuva, Harvey White.
Yeah.
Couple of seasons ago, I think it was pre-season. I think when we went to Korea, was it maybe? And he looked. I think it was him playing.
He looked really decent.
He did. He looked really decent, but decent, not great.
Yeah.
And we churn out a lot of these sort of cookie cutter mold, players where they've got up to a certain level, they can do the job. When you're looking for that little bit extra, they haven't got it. We've done quite a few of these over the years. I'm just happy for him to be going somewhere and getting some matches, playing football. He's clearly got a love for the game. He just wants to be able to play somewhere. Dropping down the division, perfect. That's fine. Hope he does well. Hope he comes back strongly. And it would be nice to see with all these players that do leave from the academy, that do succeed, and we can say, look, he came from our club. It's a nice little thing to be able to say later on in a career.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? We're going to now. There's nothing more to say that I could possibly say. We just wish him well. He's one of the youth people that came, the youth academy prospects that came through when there was no pathway through to this football club, and unfortunately, he's a sacrificial lamb because of it. And now we have these crop of youngsters coming through that hopefully do have the correct pathway. We'll get on to loans, and there's one I'm going to speak about in quite depth because I think people know who I'm talking about when we get to him. But let's start with the signing, the Milan Skriniar replacement. Just as quality. Joe Rodon, people. Joe Rodon. Ben, your thoughts on Joe Rodon going to Leeds?
Crap. Let's go.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a thing. I think we're going to have a thing with...
Quick. Crap.
There we go. Kuva.
Joe Rodon. Why? Why? That sums up his entire career with us. Never saw the point in the first place.
Yeah.
Totally overrated. Great. He plays for Wales, does well for Wales. At the time, they had players like Robson Kanu who didn't even have a club. So how's that an endorsement of how good a player is? No, just not good enough.
Just go.
He's not good on the ball. Old school style defender. That's not what we're trying to do, is it? I don't believe at any point we're looking for that sort of player.
There you go. Jack, your thoughts?
I actually remember, was it against Chelsea? He had a really good game.
On his debut.
Yeah, other than that, he ain't done much, has he?
Ever since.
Yeah.
It's great if you stick balls in the box because he's a beanpole.
Yeah, there's not much to say to him, right? He is another victim of the club. I just hope he does well because his brother's a funny guy on Twitter. Yeah, I've got nothing to say about him because he's never done anything wrong personally. I just hope he does. Where's he gone? Where did he go?
Leeds.
Didn't he score an own goal, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He did.
There you go. There you go. When it comes to him, I've got. Listen, it was another one that came in, the cheaper alternative. He was just thrusted into something. I started this window saying he may get a chance under Ange, and if he did, I'd stand by it and think that could be the one I'd rather see than Ndombele and Sanchez. But it's a theme with the next player. These players were just bought in, and I don't understand why they were bought in, because they weren't wanted by the manager. They were wanted by the club. Kuva, Spence.
Another one, same as Rodham. Why? If you're not buying for the current manager, and there's still questions over him when managers after that are coming in, it's a poor signing, isn't it? I mean, I've got nothing against the lad. I mean, maybe turns out to be a good player in the future, but people were already saying what little I have seen of him, he just didn't really have much of a clue what to do with the ball a lot of the time. Bags of pace is exciting, but doesn't seem to be aware of what's going on around him, and I think that's why he doesn't get in the team. It's questions over his attitude as well. We had heard stories about whether it's true or not. Can't tell you, but what is the point? You bought him for nothing, and it's not the first time we've been doing this. Jack Clark, step up, please.
Yeah, Jack, your thoughts on Mr. Jed Spence?
That's not what you think.
I don't know what was happening. That's what Jack thought of Jed Spence. He didn't even want to talk about it. That's a bit harsh. I'm sure he'll be back shortly. Ben, your thoughts on Spence?
I feel sorry for him. I really feel sorry for him because he was never good enough. He was never good enough, and he was bought for a quote-unquote, not that he is or not that he isn't, a top-level manager that wanted class in that position. For a manager that specific system required wing backs, and he was brought in, and he was a fool guy, and he didn't want him. We've ruined this guy's career. He was doing okay at Nottingham Forest. Questions over his attitude for managers such as Neil Warnock and others, to be fair. But it was like a lamb for slaughter. It was a lamb for slaughter. It was just another player that was bought for the wrong manager. It's an absolute disgrace that we bought him in. And I hope he rekindles his career of what little he's got of it. But I just don't see it. I've not seen him. I saw him play in France. Wasn't good enough. Just doesn't have the quality to be able to play at a top level. I'm sorry, but I don't see him playing at a top level ever, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Jack, you left because we said Spence. Your computer disconnected and you left us. I'm looking for
my AirPods died.
Yeah, and we agreed.
My AirPods
we agreed. That was what we were all going to do. But yeah, your feelings on Jed Spence?
Disappointed because I was actually really excited when he came in because he looked really good in the Championship.
But as Ben just said, I think the club let him down again. I think the manager let him down. And why did we sign him if Conte never wanted him? But look, he looked really good in the Championship when we first bought him. And I actually just hope that he does well. Where's he gone?
Leeds
Again. I hope he does well because he was a really good player. He looked like he would be a good player for whoever he signed for. But there was Johnny did say something about this whole attitude thing with him.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I don't really know. Funnily enough, actually, when we played Forest last year, I don't know if you were there, Brian, when we won. My friend who didn't have a ticket went up to the game and met Spencer's mum, and Spencer's mum gave him a spare ticket. So his family seemed like a lovely guy. But yeah.
Okay, so that's Spence. I'll just say, listen, I like the player. I just don't understand why he came to Spurs. I don't understand why he came to Spurs. I don't understand it. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. You're going full row, but you're frozen, Brian.
Am I back?
I can see you now. Just about.
Can hear you. Okay. Just
good. Well, do you know what? Because I forget what I was saying about Spence. I've saved the best to last. The jewel of the crown, the man that I love more than life itself. I'm going to go first, just in case my Wi-Fi goes and Ben can wrap up. Just in case it does go. This kid is the jewel in the crown of Tottenham Hotspur's future. I am not letting anyone else tell me anything about it. I have followed this guy religiously. I'm so happy he got his loan. I am so happy he got his loan. I have already said he will get Young Player of the Year in League One. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets Player of the Year in League One. He came on for 22 minutes to make his debut. 1 man of the match, 1 goal, 1 assist, a penalty in the 99th minute, which to win the game, which is pressure for a kid his age. He's done it for England. I've been banging on about this kid. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but before I go back to Toronto, I will be putting a £20 bet on in the bookies, whatever odds they give me, that he's in England's 2026 World Cup squad. That's how much I love this dude and how positive I am with this guy. He is off the chain. He needed minutes. This is one guy under Ange. We have to make sure there is a clear pathway for this guy to get in around the first team. And I think by doing what we've done with Port Vale, it's stage 1 of doing it, because this kid is going. I'll say it again. I haven't just said he's going to be a superstar. He is going to be a world superstar. This kid is going to be world class, and he has to stay at Tottenham as long as possible. I am upset. If Levy sold the club tomorrow, the very first thing I do is get a Tottenham shirt with Divine's name on the back, even though he's on loan. He is the real deal. Ben, what's your thoughts?
We need to add another one to that list because he's gone as well.
Oh, bollocks. Let's have some Divine love. Let's have some Divine love.
Sod Regulon. We miss Marta. Sod him. Goodbye.
Yeah, there you go. Ben, go on with Divine.
I'm hoping to see what he does. He's got a Port Vale. He's brought Robbie Williams on board. So we love him Divine instead. And we'll see what he does. And hopefully we'll see him in the Tottenham team in 2 years, because I reckon that's where he'll go to the Port Vale, then he'll go to the Championship, then he'll be ready to play in the Premier League. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this kid does in the future. He looks great. He's Tottenham's record youth scorer, coming through at 16 years old, getting a goal against Marine. I think he's going to be great.
There you go, Jack.
My only worry is can he not be playing at a higher division, higher team, higher league? Is all I would say. But glad that he's gone out on loan and is playing regular football, because I think Carragher rates him highly as well, doesn't he? So,
yeah.
But that's the only thing I would say, is that could he have not gone to a QPR or even a Bristol, seeing how they just sold Alex Scott? So yeah.
There you go. Kuva, what's your thoughts on my superstar of the future?
I've got to be honest, I've barely seen him play. I have to go on what other people say about him, and I've heard you raving about him on a regular basis, Brian. Yeah, you take note of what his peers say about him and managers say about him, and some of the pundits that have seen his games. And there's clearly a talent there. The club sees there's a talent there. I think, didn't he go through Liverpool and was it Wigan or something like that?
Yep, correct.
Wigan? Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so there was a bit of a sense of we'd pulled off a coup there to get him at that point. We need to see what all the hype's about, don't we? I think this season would have been a good one for him to be breaking into the first team, personally. But we, like I said, at the moment, we are massively overloaded with midfielders. So I can see why he went out on loan. We've got to get rid of some more of these players we really don't want and don't fit. And I think I would love to see him coming in as an understudy for perhaps a Maddison next season, or perhaps he doesn't have to play there, does he? He can drop back further. I'm not sure what his role would be in the long term. But he does sound like he's got a talent. So let's see it. Let's again, back to what we said earlier in the show. Let's see a bit of faith in the youth players coming through. It's the future of the club. You've got to have that. Having that the academy players coming into the first team is a really healthy way of doing things. You've got to have a regular supply of those. It keeps everything. We love saying about he's one of our own, don't we? And that sort of thing. Although Alfie Devine came from Liverpool, we're still looking at players coming through the academy, spending time there. They still become one of our own in a way. Might not be North London born and bred, but it doesn't matter, does it? It's all about giving those youth players a chance, showing people the way forward, and it also helps to attract talent from anywhere. If they see they're a young, talented player, and they see our club and there's players in the team that have been given a chance, they will realise we're a really viable prospect to come to.
Yep, and God damn it, I forgot Dane Scarlett as well. But we are going to wrap it up there.
Too many players.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up there because everyone's got things to do. But first of all, Tom, thank you very much indeed. Got to go, guys. Great show as always. Keep up the great work. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. And I must not forget, Levy out. Much love. Coys. Before, I just want to say there was about 200 people in here max. We've got 172 likes. So thank you very much indeed, Tottenham On Tour family. We are less than 10 subscribers away from hitting 6,900, which has been brilliant. But very quickly, we're just going to go round the table and say where people can find you. So, Jack, where can people find you, brother?
Probably nowhere. I don't really use social media. But I'm on Twitter Spaces with Brian and Johnny when Johnny uses them. But hopefully, I'll be in here more often.
You will be, brother. You will be. And Kuva, Mr. VIP status with Tottenham On Tour. Where can people find you?
See if I can do this that way, isn't it?
You're doing the Johnny.
There we go. There we go. So 3 Spurs boys with Bobby K every 2 weeks on the Saturday nights for a bit of a laugh. Over on Ben's Coffee Company show on Wednesdays doing Brewing Bollocks. Again, having just a bit of a laugh, and it doesn't have to be football. Regularly isn't anything to do with it. And Shelfside Spurs on Thursdays. We're also not really too worried about the football and just have a bit of a laugh. So that's what I'm all about. Football doesn't matter, but I still love it.
Yeah.
There you go. And Mr. Kaufman, where can people find you?
You can find us here at the Coffee Company. Please sub to us. We are just over 60, was it something around 80, something around from 600. So if you can get us closer to that magic 600 number, that would be lovely. But also, you can find us here on Tottenham On Tour regularly with Mr. Daigle over the houses and all that stuff. But thank you so much, as always, for subscribing to Tottenham On Tour and your likes, comments, subscribe, super chats. It helps us out a lot. But if you can help us get the Coffee Company as well, that would be really helpful of you. So sub to the Coffee Company. It really helps us.
There you go. And Ben, you're going to have to end the show with the music and everything.
Yeah. I will
because my Wi-Fi is going.
We will be redirecting to Spurs Between the Liars with Mia. And I want you to go into her chat when we've finished. And I want you to spam the 2 famous words, Levy out. Fill her chat full of it so she cannot see anything, because it would be absolutely hilarious. But thank you all so much for watching this show. We will be back tomorrow for Cockle Doodle Doo with Brian and Johnny.
Yep.
Thank you so much as always. If you smell what the coffee's brewing, and take it away, Achi.
Like, comment, share, subscribe. I've got windscreen wipers now.
Yeah.
And as always, Levy out.